You only need to inspire one person, and you help that one person change their life. It causes this ripple effect. I hit 50, I looked in the mirror, didn't like myself, thought I've got to do something about it. When you drink too much or you have an addiction, you've got to replace it with something else.
On a map, if it wasn't Beijing to Hong Kong, and it's Big Ben in London to Hagia Sophia in Istanbul, which basically means running from London into Turkey.
You think about these things, you don't do them. You just got to start them. If you think about 3,000 kilometers, you wouldn't do it. But if you think about one step, you would do it. If I said to you, can you make one step? You go, yeah I can make one step. Can you do 2 steps?
Yeah.
I can do 2 steps. And that's all it is. It's the same with business, it's the same with anything. You start with 1 step. That's the only thing you can do.
Joe, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Rashid.
We've been talking about this for a while, and I'm so pleased that we're finally doing this.
I'm really, really excited about this. Honestly, I am. I've been looking forward to it all week.
Cool. What do you think it is that makes so many of us who hit a certain age or point in our lives decide that we want to do something remarkable, something that no one thought we could ever do, something maybe we thought we could never do? And it's different for everyone. And I hate to compare, but comparing to you would seem insignificant. But what do you think it is?
It's a really good question. So for me, it wasn't something that just came out of the blue. It's something that has kind of been bubbling and coming forward. So, you know, I didn't go straight into running across China. I started by hiking up a hill. So I think, you know, one day I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm 50 years old. And I didn't like what I saw. I didn't like who I was. I didn't like the person I'd become. And I thought I've got to make a change. And so I think people who do these kind of things must have those kind of realizations that they want to do something that's better, something that's different. And for me, that was that. You know, I look at our limits, and you know, we are who we surround ourselves with, and what the people that we. And at that stage, I was drinking a lot, and I was always going, "Oh, I could do that. I could do this." And someone said to me, "Don't be a could have man, be a doing man." And kind of, I didn't react to that straight away, but it boiled and bubbled inside me. And then that one day where I was hiking up a hill, and I was just listening to a podcast about this woman who'd gone to Nepal, and she'd gone there to find herself. And we've got a room full of people here. Everyone here is extraordinary in their own way. They all have different things that they've done, but not one person in this room is normal. And that's for sure, because I know most of you, and you all do your extraordinary things. But we all know that you can't go and find yourself by meditating in Nepal or something. You can only find yourself with a purpose. And if you have a purpose, you have an opportunity to find yourself. And so this woman, and she's gone to meditate, she's gone into the mountains, she's gone to some Buddhist retreat, hasn't found herself, going back to the airport, feeling pretty disappointed with her life. And then she comes across these 2 boys in the street, and she picks them up. Long and short story, she ends up starting there and then a orphanage, and it's still going to this day. Now, then she found a purpose. Then she found herself. And for me, I'm thinking the same thing. What do I do? And at that point, there was a situation where someone where we live has got this really cool eco school, but the COVID was there, and she was struggling for money. And I was like, I'm going to hike around Lantau, do the Lantau trail. Now I could, well, not at this second in time because I'm not in great shape at the moment, but now I would just run it just for fun. Okay, I'm going to run that today. But in those days, that was massive. And so I did that. And I said, I'm going to raise money for them. And we raised money for them. And it wasn't a huge amount, but within 2 days, we'd raised 30 or 40,000 Hong Kong. And it was enough for them to get until the government opened up the restrictions, and it saved it. And at that point, then I start realizing purpose is what I'm after. So it's purpose. It's not the run. It's what I'm achieving from the run that is making me want to do more of that.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack there, because I think we make changes. I've heard that it's been said on this podcast before that we make changes when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing.
Yeah.
Right. And it can be in our personal lives. It could be in our professional lives. It can be in our physicality. It can be in all kinds of different ways. Comfort's
the biggest killer.
Yeah.
It literally is the biggest killer.
I'm a huge believer in that. But it's also, what's also really interesting about what you said, and what I love about what you said, is that you were listening to a podcast and that inspired you. And that's why we do this.
Yeah.
That's why we do this, because these stories do inspire people. And
you only need to inspire one person.
Yeah.
And you help that one person change their life. It causes this ripple effect.
Yeah.
Which is fundamentally what I'm trying to do. Everything I'm trying to achieve is a ripple effect. It's you make one person's life different. That ripple effect, you have, if it's a student, it can be with their parents. And that one ripple effect is then with their friends. And it can last it can last longer than your lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you start a ripple, you're not looking at what it's going to achieve. You're just looking to start it, so that it can continue, and it'll run in its own process.
So I know everyone listening online and everyone in the audience wants to hear about this incredible run you did from Beijing to Hong Kong, but I really want to get back. I really want to go to the early years of your life, because I think it's important for context. So can you kind of take me back to Joe Lodder, the kid born in England in 1970?
Yeah, 1970.
What was youth like? What was growing up in England?
Amazing. I had the most incredible childhood.
Yeah.
Lived on a farm, outdoors, playing all the time, one of 5 kids. We just had a wonderful time. My mum was really into horses, and she brought horses into our life. And which I think any parent, I think to bring animals into the child's life is a really important thing, because it brings responsibility. And I think with responsibility, it comes later on in life as well. I used to have to get up in the morning, go muck the horse out. I used to have to, ride it. And, and it was fun. We had an amazing time. We used to go off on the horses. Like, there's me and my best mate and my brothers and sisters. We used to go off riding all day, just go out into the countryside, and we'd go and find a stream, and we'd sit around the stream. We'd eat we'd have some sandwiches. We'd just disappear for the whole day and then come back before it was nighttime, and we'd be gone having fun, and what a life.
Yeah.
So lucky, privileged. I wasn't brought up with my parents. We lived on a farm, and we have a big house. It's an old house, and but we didn't have money, as in, we didn't have lots of material things, but we had this incredible life that was way more than material things, you know. So, I was very lucky, very privileged.
Yeah. Seems like you've always been working outdoors. Really.
Yeah. I mean, and sport, I played rugby. I captained my school, Warwick School, which is a big rugby school. I did tetrathlon, pentathlon, which to a high standard. So yeah, there was always, and I competed eventing as well, which is what Princess Anne does, and Zara Phillips. And I was lucky I competed against them sometimes.
Okay. So eventing is like show jumping, right?
No, it's show jumping, cross country, and dressage.
Okay. Okay.
I was quite good at it, but the cost of it is very high. And I was the eldest of 5, so I had to make a decision. And then I was offered a job at 15, and I went and worked in a yard to start racing. That's how it all started.
You're obviously good at it, so you ended up making it a profession.
I did, yeah. I was very lucky again with that. I was kind of, with all these things, a bit of luck.
So you were a professional steeplechase jockey.
That's it, yes.
And just for people who don't know, because I don't think steeplechase is always completely understood, can you explain a little bit about what steeplechase is?
So in the UK and in France, a little bit in America, a little bit in Germany. I think it was in Australia, but it's been banned in Australia. But it's where you race over fences. They're like hedges. And
how high is a hedge?
You're looking at 6,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty big.
Yeah.
And we raced. You're riding at 40 kilometers an hour. Normally, 20, sometimes 30 other horses in the race. It's one of the most dangerous sports, I think, in the world. Pretty much, it's a great fun though when that feeling of when the horse takes off and just goes silent for a while as you're flying through the air. It's the closest to flying I ever got without
amazing.
Actually being in a plane.
So what was being a professional jockey like in those days?
It was fun. So the camaraderie. So there's only 250 or something like that jockeys at that when I was riding, and so we knew everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody knew everybody. So the camaraderie was incredible. We were, everyone was friends, but you're friends, but you're competing like against each other but as soon as the tapes went up, that was it. You're on your own. And the competitiveness was there and the rivalry was there. But as soon as you finished, it was, we were your mates and you're chatting, out back in the weighing room. But when you're out there was no love lost between you. You knew your best friend would cut you up and put you through the rails if you misbehaved. And there would be no hard feelings either. And it's kind of changed now. There's a lot more bickering and fighting in between the jockeys now. I don't know why, but there's a lot of talk about it at the moment. But back in our day, we had some of the senior guys. People were arguing, they just bashed their heads together, and that was it. Was finished.
Yeah, but you guys were competing for rides, right? You were telling me that was kind of your earliest.
Yeah, that's
start in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, you're on the phones you're on the phone. You used to ride out in the mornings, stop for breakfast, then you start phoning up whilst everyone's having breakfast. You're phoning the other trainers to try and get rides, and then when I was riding, they didn't have agents. Agents came a bit later. I was kind of just on the back end of having agents, and so those days you'd have to do it yourself.
So you were an entrepreneur from
I mean,
how old were you when you did your first
17 race? Or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so UK riding must have gone well because you ended up moving from the UK. You got another opportunity.
So I moved. So riding went really well to begin with, and then I had a few injuries at a bad time, and I was actually competing for the young jockeys title. I finished third in it, I think, that year. And then the next year I did the same. I was in the top 4 for that. And then I had some injuries just at the wrong time because when you're a young jockey, you have a claim, which is an allowance to give you an opportunity to race against the professionals. But when I turned professional, I had some bad falls, which took me off the circuit for a little while, which meant that then it was hard to get back going. And so then I moved to France because I got offered a job at a top trainer there. But that's fundamentally when alcohol started getting into my life. And it was the first time I can really say that alcohol cost me what was a very good job.
How old were you when you moved to France?
22 or something.
22, because it's kind of thinking back. I left Hong Kong when I was 18 to go to university. And when you're a young guy living abroad for the first time, working abroad for the first time.
Yeah, it's different.
It's very different, right?
Because like in the UK, I was being kind of looked at. The trainer really kept an eye on me. But when I was in France, the trainer, it was such a big yard I rode for. Like it was the champion trainer. And I was second jockey, which is like unbelievable to get that role. And the quality of horses I was riding was fantastic. But then I just I just started going out drinking, and the party life was amazing, and I like to party. And I used to party, man. And everything I do to extreme. As my wife will tell you, who's in the crowd now, she knows how I could go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to. Yeah, there was one time. I'm not proud of this, but I will tell the story. There was one time where the local newspaper, the racing newspaper in France, I think it was called France Galop, had come to interview me. And I just remember starting to talk to them. And then I was thinking, what is, and I said to someone, which lot are we on? And they said, third lot. It's like, third lot? Now, when you ride out in the mornings, there's first lot, second lot, third lot. As I was the jockey, each lot I would have been schooling. So I would have schooled probably maybe 4 or 5 horses each lot. So by the third lot, I'd have ridden 10 horses at least. And I couldn't remember any of them. And I'd schooled all these horses drunk and with no memory. My first memory was being interviewed by this newspaper.
So schooling is like taking the horses on a ride, training them. Okay, yeah.
Training them.
Wow.
So it's like it'd be like a mini race.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was my first. I'm not very proud of that. And anyway, but I'm still pretty proud that I didn't fall off. I could still stay on a horse.
So, fun, probably at the time, you're thinking quite an amazing experience being in France when you were young.
Yeah, I wrecked it up a bit.
Yeah. And so that's how you ended up back in the UK?
Yeah, well, kind of not, but I was still okay. I could have stayed. But I went back to ride a few horses for a trainer. And then I just thought, you know what? I think I had a few winners. And I thought, you know what? I think I kind of knew that if I stayed in France, I wasn't going to go the right way. And I kind of took myself away from it.
Yeah.
And I came back to the UK, and actually things started going really well in the UK. And then unfortunately I wasn't riding for that long before I got injured. So I think I was only back for like 2 seasons or something like that. I just ridden a 4-timer, and just got beaten on the 5th horse by a short head. And then not so long after that, I had a fall and hurt my back.
So talk us through that.
Yeah, it's kind of strange because so there's a lot of memories being blocked out, and they're kind of coming back slowly. I had a bad fall where I bashed my head, so there's some memory issues there. And but the first kind of memory of the back problem was I'd had a fall. I was riding this big horse, 17-2, which is a really tall, big horse. And it was the first time over hurdles, first time racing. It had run on the flat, but not over hurdles. But every time we jumped, it would step at the fence. And so it would do that. And so it's pulling you all the time, but because it was big and big. Anyway, we're going round, and I knew I could feel there was a problem, but I was in contention all the time. So I was in the top 3. And we go to the last, it steps through the last. And then I'm pushing to the line, we finish, and I knew there was a problem. Went up to the weighing room to weigh in, so you got to take this, and I could hardly take the girth off and to carry the thing in. And so I said, okay, I'm stopping here. I know there's a problem here. So I took a week off, and I came to ride out again. And so I went up the gallops, and straight away I was like, there's a problem. Now, you've got to bear in mind, I've ridden with broken legs, I've broken ribs, I've broken my arm and ridden them. I've been injured and riding with serious injuries that most people wouldn't be able to operate. But this was nothing visible, but I knew there was something bad there. And so I was due to ride at Southall, which is a pretty crappy race course in the UK. And I think it was, Southall. And I got a full card of rides. And to give those up, because without rides, I wasn't earning any money. So to give that up was a big thing. Anyway, I went to the hospital, and the jockey club had sent me to get an MRI scan. And so they fundamentally did this MRI scan, and I got this hole all the way down my spine, through my spine, which is a compression. I think it's a compression, like kind of like a fracture that went through, but it was like a hole that went through. And the guy just went straight away, "I'm taking your license off you. You can't ride again." Anyway,
so you'd been riding with a broken back.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why he said straight away, "We're taking your license off you." I remember coming out of the jockey club doctors, just like, what the fuck am I going to do? Sorry, my language. And I remember being in the car park, just thinking, what am I going to do? Like, I didn't know anything else. Like, I wasn't like, I'm dyslexic, so I wasn't very good at writing. I wasn't, I hadn't trained at anything, and what am I going to do? And then my Charlotte, who's my ex, we decided to go up to Scotland to stay with my parents, and we drove up to Scotland. And when we got to Scotland, I went into the house, and one of the guests of my parents were there. They said, "Oh, have you seen? There's a jockey who's been killed." And in those days, we didn't have kind of the mobile phone, the same kind of thing where you had everything on phone. So I jumped in the car and drove to the nearest kind of post office to find a paper. And then I saw it was my friend Richard Davis, who was riding a horse called Mr. Socks, which was the horse I was supposed to be riding at that time. Wow. And he killed the jockey that I was, like,
you were supposed to be on that horse.
I was supposed to be on that horse, but then he had killed my mate, and it kind of, it's like,
yeah.
And then it's kind of go, okay, no matter what, I think somebody's telling me something that this is not the time for you to continue doing this, even if you could do it.
Yeah, I can't imagine the range of emotions that were going through your head at that point, because apart from anything else, you've lost a close friend. Could have been you.
It's kind of the first time I've done this without crying when I've said it, so it's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's
and the interesting thing is that at his funeral, his parents said, "Oh, Joe, do you remember when you brought him home and you came home and we sat around the table talking?" And I couldn't remember any of it. And it was the time that I had the fall where I couldn't remember anything. And so I drove him home to his parents, to his parents' farm. And I spent like the evening with them, and I have no memory. I had to pretend I had a memory of it, but I still don't now. So the knock-on effect of, so the injury was caused the day that I took him back home, when I spent time with his parents. And then the whole for.
Really I can't imagine what was going through your head, mate. I'm so sorry.
No, really weird, very strange. But when I was riding, he wasn't the only person who died. We lost quite a few jockeys. It's got better now. Safety has got better, and the protection you wear is much better now than it used to be.
Yeah, you did say it's one of the most dangerous sports.
Yeah, in my day it was 1 in 10 rides, but now I looked.
1 in 10.
Yeah, so now I looked at the statistics. It's 1 in 15.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know whether that's jockeys are better riders now, or I think the fences are easier to jump and they're not as hard as they used to be. And the railings, you've got plastic railings, but we had wooden railings, and, it's kind of safety has gone up.
Wow.
On that note.
So, you at that age, your career in some ways defines who you are. And so when that's pulled from you, what do you end up doing next?
So I'm kind of a bit lost, but I started doing after dinner speaking, and that was quite good, actually. Did a lot of that, and it's when I started my first things with marketing. So I had a little caricature of me as a jockey, and I had a little like a flyer that I carried around and would give to people that said, I could come and talk, and I did that, and it kind of, from there, then an events company grew from it, and it got quite big in the end. We were doing Oracle's events and Zurich, and it
Wow.
grew from just me talking to being something relatively large.
So you were marketing yourself first as a jockey and then as a public speaker.
Then as a public speaker. I just remember, I wish I'd kept it. It was a caricature of me as a jockey.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was really cool.
Amazing.
I wish I'd kept it.
So you leave the UK then?
So so what happened? Yeah, when I sold the business to this guy and had to work there for a year. And then as soon as the year came up, I'd moved to Spain.
Can I just ask, what was the business exactly? Was the business wasn't just you then?
No, it was an events company.
It was an events company.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty big at one the time.
And one of the events was you speaking, but you had other stuff going.
No, at that stage I did no speaking.
Oh, you didn't know speaking. Okay, you were just running the events. Okay, awesome.
It had grown from there, and also my relevance had disappeared.
Yeah. Over time,
it only lasted. It didn't last very long.
Yeah,
about 6 months.
So you've reinvented yourself.
Yeah. I knew I had a short life, shelf life. It wasn't going to last very long.
And then you got to reinvent yourself in Spain.
So we talked about this reinvention. I don't classify anything I've done up until now, this year, as reinventing.
Okay.
Everything I've done has been evolving or changing or moving or adapting, more or grifting. With very little focus or purpose with where I'm going with it. It was kind of just rolling. So I moved to Spain. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but I got into real estate there, and I had a wonderful time there selling people their dream holiday homes. I mean, it was wonderful. People buying their dream holiday home and then enjoying living it. It was a really good, satisfying business, and I stay friends with a lot of the people that bought properties, and so that was, I really enjoyed that, and I had a system that worked very well, and I made quite a lot of money doing it. But again, alcohol took over, and it fundamentally, I kind of made a lot of mistakes because of drinking, and then the crash happened, and
the property crash.
Yeah, the property crash, and I owned a lot of property in Spain.
So you were buying and then selling.
I was buying and not selling.
And not selling. You were waiting for the market.
Yeah. I was kind of buying and then go, I quite like this one, I'll keep it, and then buy. I quite like this one, I keep it. But then the crash came, and I was kind of like just trying to sell as quick as I could, and I got out of all the properties, but I was very lucky. And then I was in a situation where I was, okay, I got no money, not no money, but I had no properties. I wasn't in it wasn't great. The market wasn't great. I wasn't making huge money. And I kind of was like, okay, what do I really want to be around this kind of thing? And then someone came in, and one of my friends said, I want to meet you for a coffee, Joe. And I said, okay, come on, let's meet for coffee. And she goes, guess what? And I said, I don't know. And she goes, I'm going to go to Hong Kong. I was like, oh, Hong Kong. I've never been to Asia. 2 weeks later, I'm in Hong Kong. And and she never made it. She never made it. 2000.
And she never made it?
No, 2009 or something like that, yeah. So I just went, I've never been to Hong Kong. And 2 weeks later, I was actually here.
I feel like for all of the difficult things that have sort of thrown you off course, there's always been something that seems to have pulled you back on, or sort of guided you into your next, we'll call it adventure. Let's call it adventure. So you arrive in Hong Kong, and you're actually working for someone at first, right?
I got a job with a guy called Brian Lunt, who's a guy who told me not to be a I did person, be I do person.
Okay.
He's still a good buddy of mine. I'm going to give him a shout out because it's the reason I came out here. He's got this really cool cannabis hotel in Koh Samui called the Beach Samui. And it's literally, I came to work on it, and this was before the cannabis side of it, but I came it was just a plot of land with a boat on it, some random boat. And I came over and it was just too early. And quite quickly, both of us realized it was too early for me to be involved. And so I resigned and we stayed friends, which I'm really happy with because he's a smashing guy. And through COVID, he used to come over for coffee and we'd sit and talk about how we were going to get through COVID and come up with ideas and stuff. So I'm really happy that happened because, you know, he's been part of my life since I came to Hong Kong. But I didn't work, you know, but he got me here. And then after that, I started working as a consultant for another property company. Had a wonderful time with them, did really good. Like she literally just let me get on with it myself. I was on a commission structure. I wasn't taking salary, and it was great. I managed to spend a lot of time back in the UK with the kids. I traveled quite a lot and made money to be able to do that. And and it was a good time. I was very lucky.
And the lifestyle in Hong Kong, what did that look like?
That took me in. That did. Expat
lifestyle.
I was quite well known in the party scene in Hong Kong at one stage. I could, really. I disappear for days sometimes, but
So what
dragged me down? You're chasing. I was chasing something. I don't know what it was, but I never found it.
What changed, mate?
I mean, I hit 50. I looked in the mirror, didn't like myself. I thought I've got to do something about it. And so I remember. So I mean, there's a number of times. One time I woke up lying on a bench, and my wife's looking over the top of me, going, "What the hell is wrong with you?" And I'm looking up at her, thinking, get home like this. And I'm like, you know, this is kind of, I'm nearly 50 years old at this stage, and it's just not a good place to be where you're sleeping on I couldn't even get home because I was too drunk. And so I got to look at changing things. And I kind of, it doesn't, you know, you've got to, when you drink too much or you have an addiction, you've got to replace it with something else. And so what happened was I started, and bearing in mind, I was doing okay. It wasn't that, you know, I actually,
you were functioning.
I was functioning, and I had a business that was going okay. You know, like we had a good business. COVID didn't help it because it's property and it was hospitality and stuff. But we had a good business. There was nothing wrong with but you know, I was always missing something, and that maybe is why I drink. And then we always had lots of people around partying, and that's the excuse to do it. But COVID came and it changed things. You know, you're looking at yourself. You start looking at yourself. And you start looking at what is it that am I really giving anything to anybody? You know, what is the point of me on this earth? And then you start, you know, that's what happened to me. And I started thinking, okay, I need to start being a better person.
And it started with that podcast you mentioned.
Literally with that podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
And waking up on that bench with your wife looking over you, that was rock bottom.
No, I've been way worse than that. That was what I could talk about. I'm not even going to go. I've got a saint of a wife. She was an amazing woman. I'm very lucky to have her. But, you know, yes.
So what are the changes you make? Because you've obviously
I'm going to tell you a very funny story. So I remember. Okay, so I'm drunk. I'm watching TV, and I'm looking at, this is a stage where I'm going through stages of change, and I'm watching TV, and my wife walks in with loads of bags, and I go, and I slam my hand down on the table, and I go, I'm going vegan now. And Novi looks at me, she goes, when? Next week? I said, no, from now onwards. And that was kind of like, I'm changing my life. From now on, I'm going vegan. And she was like, didn't speak to me for 4 days. Okay. Like literally didn't speak to me for 4 days. And she kept going, well, I'm not cooking for you. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. And I'm like, no, I'm staying vegan. I don't care. Anyway, it was only like 6 months later that I found out that she bought 4 kilos of bacon for me. And my wife's Muslim. So she bought all this. She never told me. Like,
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I'm not, and so that was the change. I stopped eating meat. I stopped drinking. So when I stopped drinking, I didn't stop drinking to say I'm stopping drinking here. I said I'm going to get to here because I'm training. I want to do the run, which was the 5 trails. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop because this is going to require all my thing, but I'll start afterwards. But then I didn't even want it. You know, when I finished, there was a beer and a Coke handed to me, and I took the Coke, and I was like, and that was the change of where, okay.
So it literally was.
It was literally the change was 100% the time when I finished the 5 trails.
Okay.
And I could have gone.
So you didn't fall off the wagon at any stage?
I've never touched it since I stopped drinking it.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah. And then I've had, so there's been various stages in life where there's various stages with giving up alcohol where it becomes difficult. And it doesn't take a month. It takes a year to deal with minimum, and it can be longer. But the first stage is, having your friends around. That's one stage. Going to a wedding, that's a really tough stage. Okay. Going on a junk, that's a tough stage. These things, Christmas, right? And the hardest one is going back to your family, my parents, and they all like to drink. But I was lucky because my mum had been through it and she stopped drinking. But I'd also had 2 cousins who died from alcohol. So I kind of had that, knowing that had happened. And I remember, and I still know, my uncle, the devastation for him to lose 2 of his sons, both from alcohol. There's drugs involved as well, but it was alcohol that caused the problems. So I'm like, okay, this is all, I'm going to change everything. And I wanted to be a better person for my kids as well, And then my kids, they're all, they definitely drink less. And it's not because of me, but because of their lifestyles change. And they see their dad having changed his lifestyle. And whether they're influenced by me, I'm pretty sure they're not, but they see something happening and they go, we prefer him that way. And I think that's important as well.
You said something very early on in this conversation about the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Did you have to change that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel the people you surround yourself with,
it's so important.
Makes such a difference in every single aspect, whether it's personal, professional, whatever it is. And
it starts at home.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I'm married to Novi, and she's been my constant, and without that, and she doesn't drink, which has been a big help.
Yeah, much easier.
And then you work your way out. Even for instance, we're talking about one of my friends, Sol. He has a wine shop. He had to close one of his wine shops because I stopped drinking. Literally happened. That's not kidding. He had to close one of his wine shops because I stopped drinking. So that we could still keep drinking together, he started importing Guinness. And then it became a business for him.
The 0%.
The 0% Guinness. So we could have our Guinness together. So we still go and sit down and have our Guinness together.
Yeah.
But that's what your friend does. I was kind of one of the best men at my friend's wedding. And I said to Novi, this was the first wedding I'd been to with no alcohol. And I said to Novi, I said, listen, it's my friend, I'm going to have a little sip of champagne. No, he didn't give me the opportunity. He didn't even put it in front of me.
Amazing.
At the table, wasn't even there. And now that is someone who's, they're looking out. They know that you've got a problem. They know that don't tempt it, especially at that time. And so you need to be around those kind of guys. So you don't need to get rid of everybody.
Yeah, but there's some people who you just
manage it, and there are some that you can't. That can't. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that in my life as well. So.
And also, what happens is because you're doing the exercise and you're changing your lifestyle, you start surrounding yourself with people like Andrew, who's got this energy, and you're part of it because you're moving towards those kind of thing, and Stephen as well, who Stephen Kerwin, who's helped me a lot with things, and then the runners that you're running with, and the people that you're around, and you know, they're just high achievers, and they live a good life. You know, they're just different people. You know, and you start like in Hong Kong, we are very lucky because it's very small.
Yeah.
So we you know, I went to a party one time. And a guy called Jeremy Ritzies, I think it was his birthday, or was one of his friends' birthday. And someone said to me, "Oh, what have you done recently?" And I was like, "Oh, I've run 100K." And I looked around the room and I went, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that in this room because 100K is like a wimp." You know, like anywhere else, the 100K was a big thing, but in this room, every single one had just run a miler, you know, which 170K, and I'm like, okay, that just puts you in your place, you know, and you surround yourself with these guys who are high achievers.
It's a great picture of what the people you surround yourself looks like. So what does training look like, Joe? You don't suddenly start running 100K.
No. When I first had this thing, okay, I hadn't started running at this point. I was just doing walks, hiking. I was like, okay, I'm going to do the 4 trails because it's easy.
So for people listening online who don't know, tell us what the 4 trails is.
4 trails is the 4 trails of Hong Kong. It's 298 kilometers, 14,500 meters of elevation. It's pretty tough, and there's a really brilliant film out called The 4 Trails. I was with Robin yesterday, actually, which good to see him. But so it's a fantastic, like, you run around Hong Kong fundamentally, all the amazing, beautiful landscape of Hong Kong.
So you've set yourself a goal of the 4 trails.
So no, I decided I was going to do the 4 trails. So I said I'm going to do it in 4 days, 4 trails, one each day. But I never ran. And so when we got to the start of it, I was with a friend of mine called Catherine, and Catherine was a runner, and she's pretty fit, and she's pretty Amazonian woman. And I was like, I'll be fine, you know, like, and so we started. She goes, we start hiking off, and then she starts running. I said, oh, and she goes, well, we're not going to get the first 100K done in the day if we don't start running. And I'm like, okay, so we start running, and so that's the first time I ran.
And you ran 100K.
Well, no, I ran 100K that day, and then the next day I did the Hong Kong Trail, and then the next day I was in hospital, and then the next day I did this Lantau 70.
Wow!
I went into hospital. I said to the guy, "How long will I be okay to do the Lantau 70 tomorrow?" He said, "Yeah, you should be all right." And the next day I did this 70. So I missed one of the trails. I did 200. I did 200 and something, 220 kilometers.
But you didn't have Andrew helping you at that point.
No, I hadn't. I didn't have anyone, and I was. It took me months to get over. I was wrecked. I was properly wrecked. It nearly ruined me. And then luckily someone said to me, "Oh, Joe, I've got this charity thing I'm doing. Will you come and join me?" And I was like, I'm a sucker for doing stuff with charities. So I said, okay, I'll come and join. And that I managed to get running again. And then once I started running, then I was able to continue running. But had that not happened, I don't think it would have been hard for me to start again. I'd hurt myself badly. And so, ladies and gentlemen, just be careful if you decide to do the 4 trails. It's not easy.
Can I ask you, you look very fit for someone who's 55 years old now?
55, yeah.
What did you look like at 50?
I was 88 kilos. What they used to call in the racing world a fat fucker.
So you were 88 kilos then, and now?
I'm probably a 60, about 65, 66 maybe. I may be a bit heavier because I haven't ran for a few little bits. So I can feel myself.
How long did it take you to drop 20 kg?
I don't really know. It wasn't.
You don't
sudden.
weigh yourself every day.
I don't weigh myself ever.
Yeah.
I don't ever weigh. I walked. The reason I knew I was 88 kilos is because I've been in the hospital.
Yeah. So it's on your medical record.
It was on my medical, and they called me an obese, and I was like, obese? I'm not obese. But if you saw, like, if you'd seen a picture, I've got this picture of me, and my face is like this. I've got, this is me drinking with a bird sat on my shoulder, and I got this. I show it in some. I'll send it to you. Oh my God! If you saw the picture, it's disgusting, like disgusting. Proper alcoholic look.
Wow.
You know, it looks like I'm about to die.
Send it to me. We'll put it in the trailer.
Yeah, put it in the trailer.
So I don't think people truly appreciate
what 88 kilo,
what 20 kg is.
I think one person here does.
Well, yeah. So I carried this. I carried this thing in today, which is why it's sitting under my feet, and I'm gonna have to bend my knees because this.
Hand it to the audience.
That is what 20 kg feels like. I don't know if anyone wants to try and hold it, but
go on, Isabel.
I don't think you could have run from Beijing to Hong Kong.
Come on, show us how. Do you pick 20k?
Isabella loves a gym. So
Yeah. We've got. Watch your head.
How to hold 20 kg without hurting yourself. Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't lift this without bending my knees and doing my back in, so I just cannot imagine.
So Andrew and I did a talk the other day, and Andrew brought the thing to the talk, but he's never left the talk. It's still there now.
That's where my 20 kg plate's gone, yeah.
Neither of us wanted to carry it home.
It's insane. And my inspiration for bringing this thing in was actually after meeting you and hearing that you'd lost 20 kg. And then I'm doing some bench pressing at home. We've got a bench press, and I'm lifting this thing up, and I'm like, God damn, this was Joe. Before I knew him, this was the bit that Joe looked.
It was my fat.
Like, I'm bending my knees going,
I know, it's
damn,
nuts,
it's crazy when you actually think about it.
I know. And then I've got a friend who actually is about to start training me, a really quite well-known Japanese runner, and he lost 30 kilos.
Wow.
Like he's famous. He's a famous ultra runner all over the world. He's quite big in America, and he he lost 30 kilos.
And that's why I said at the beginning that there's something that happens to...
And we're surrounded by people like that.
Yes,
It's not unusual, isn't it? What about Elliot?
Yeah.
He lost a lot of weight. He was, so...
Yeah, no, I have a friend, David Gething, who ran the 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents. And when I met him, there's no chance he would have run 1 marathon.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just, it's insane. So tell me, where does setting these extreme goals come from, do you think? Because when I first met you, you told me that you came up with this Beijing to Hong Kong run idea when you were drunk.
Yeah. I came up with all my ideas when I was drunk.
So how do you go from that to actually say, I'm going to do it?
I've got a lot of ideas, and I'm slowly going through them all.
So they stuck with you.
Yeah,
the ideas stuck
I've got
with
the
you.
next one coming up as well.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So when did you actually decide that you were going to do Beijing to Hong Kong?
It was it was at least a year. When I announced it, it was at least a year before I did it. So once I announced it, I had no way of going back off it. So it was, but it was a long time before that I was thinking about it and slowly putting things together. Not as in feelers to tell people, but just looking at where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. So yeah, but it was a year. I announced it, I think, in October with a year to go.
And how important do you think it is to make those goals public?
100%. You got to burn the bridges.
Yeah.
You got to burn the boats, as they say.
Yeah. You got to put it out there because then there's pressure and then
you can't go back. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I always do that. It takes a while. I get nervous, and then when I go for it, I go for it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Amazing. And just for context for people, the distance and the time that you set yourself to achieve this goal.
So it was 3,000 kilometers, although it turned out to be longer. And I was always going to do it it was a 60-day program. That was the plan.
So I kind of looked up what this would be on a map if it wasn't Beijing to Hong Kong, and it's kind of insane when you think about this, because it's Big Ben in London to Hagia Sophia in Istanbul, which basically means running right across
Asia.
Western Europe.
Yeah.
From London,
but to Asia,
into Turkey.
Yeah.
It's 74 marathons back to back if you include the other, 140 kilometers, because it was 3,140 kilometers. It's 74 marathons back to back.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Yeah. That's a lot.
Which is, and I had to check it like 5 times. I was like on AI going, is this really right? Is my maths right? Because I was like 74
and I'm
marathons.
55.
Yeah.
And I only started running 4 years ago. Well, it's really, 4 years ago.
Why? Why?
Well, because I had to do the full trails.
No, but why put yourself through this? What is it? You know, I know you were raising money for charity and there's all other things. Yeah. And what did it mean to you to sort of put it out there and do this? And I'm going back to the beginning, not the end. So at the beginning, when you were sort of thinking about, I'm going to do this, what was going through your head?
I'll be honest, not too much, to be honest.
Yeah.
You think about these things, you don't do them.
Yeah.
You just got to start them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about 3,000 kilometers, you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But if you think about one step, you would do it.
Yeah.
If I said to you, can you make one step? You go, yeah, I can make one step. Can you do 2 steps? Yeah, I can do 2 steps. And that's all it is. It's literally, that's all it is. It's the same with business. It's the same with anything. You start with 1 step. That's the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
And
you just got to get started, right?
Yeah.
Get started and keep going.
And you don't look at the big thing. You've got to look at, you have the big goal and you just go 1 step. All we can do is, so we've got the past, we've got the present, and we've got the future. And all you can do is live in this present, and the present is just 1 step. And then the present is 2 steps, and then another. And sometimes when I'm running, I'm thinking 1 step, 2 step, 1 step, 2 step, 1 step, 2 step, 1 step, 2 step, 1 step. And that's what I'm thinking in my head. That's all I'm going. And then suddenly you've done 10K. And in my head, I've just gone 1 step, 2 step, 1 step, 2 step. Because I'm in pain, because it wasn't always easy along the way.
I mean, you sound like someone who can deal with pain pretty well. You said you'd ridden with broken legs, broken arms, and a broken back.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't so much pain. That was just I knew something else was wrong with it.
Yeah. You didn't do it alone, though.
No, and that makes a big difference as well.
Yeah.
Although I think it would have been different on my own. I'm quite good at doing stuff. When you're on your own, you have no pressure of other people. And when you have pressure of other people, it becomes much harder. And in this case, we took 9 students. I ran with a guy called John from Muiwu, where I live. He's a school teacher, sports teacher, fantastic guy. And now he is totally nuts because he continued running after it and then ended up 9 days in hospital, 5 days in intensive care. Totally nuts, that guy. But, the young. 3,000 kilometers isn't enough.
The students didn't run the whole.
No, so what happened?
John ran with you.
Yeah, John ran with me, but then the students ran a little bit every day.
Yeah.
So normally we try to get them to run 10K in the morning or 5K in the morning, but sometimes it wasn't possible. They still had to do their schoolwork. They still had exams, and sometimes the roads were just not, the roads were tricky, so we couldn't have them on the roads when it was like that. So. They came, but they always came in the evening. So nearly always did the last 2K with us in the evening as well. It was great seeing them in the evening because they brought great energy. We knew, okay, we're finished now. We just got the last few K to do.
Can I ask you, how do you go about bringing people along on your mission? And
also, we had hundreds of people join us in China.
Yeah.
Like hundreds.
Yeah.
And not just hundreds that join us, hundreds virtually ran with us. I can't remember the distance, but it's like, I think it was like 200,000 kilometers around.
So people running all over the world, or
well, no, all in China.
all in China,
Most,
but running in China just virtually with you.
We had a virtual thing, so they counted up how far they did it. It was amazing. Yeah, incredible.
Amazing. Now, I do want to get to that. I wanted to ask you, though, how do you bring people along with you on a mission? How do you sell them on what you're trying to do? Because you had a lot of people with you.
So first of all, it originated, I had to sell it to Novi, my wife.
What did she say?
Just looked up at the sky.
She's laughing.
Yeah,
just looked up at the sky, just like she did there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so originally it was just going to be her and I going across China. But then, and then it started growing. So we then, a film crew then wanted to do a documentary. So then we were like, okay, let's bring those in. So then that's 2 guys. So then you've got to get a driver to run those guys around. Then you've got to have a support car. And then that was, so it started growing. And then I said to John, would you like to join? Expecting just to come for a little bit. And then he came back and said, well, why don't we bring students with us and change students' lives while we're going? And I was like, I wasn't sure about the idea because of the responsibility of it all at the beginning. But then I went home and I didn't say no or anything like that. I was like, okay, let me. And so I went home and started thinking about it. I was thinking, oh, this is something else.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing stuff raising money for people who need help. But this is actually doing something and helping as we go along. Oh, well, hopefully helping. Like it's a live thing that's actually changing someone's life as we go along. And I thought, this could be amazing. We could finish something and actually go, look, the ripple effect, because I always talk about the ripple effect. I think I talk about it with Andrew's podcast. I think I've talked about Vincent's podcast. We'll talk about this ripple effect, which I think is really important to me, where we're changing people's lives as we go along.
Yeah.
As individuals, we have a responsibility to bring that ripple through us, and then we do it and roll it through so it continues going through. And I thought this is just the perfect way of doing it. And so that kind of came together. And so what was amazing was the headmaster just got 100% behind it and just loved it.
And it's the Taito school.
Taito school, incredible.
Yeah.
And so they got 100% behind it. They brought the kids in. Originally, there was going to be a lot more from other schools, but then we decided it was too complicated. Let's just keep it to... And so we had 9 students.
Quite forward thinking, the principal as well.
Unbelievably forward thinking. He's an incredible guy. He really thinks outside the box.
Yeah.
It's not the first time. They had 4 students that they were having some issues with, and they cycled them to Beijing. Change their lives, I can promise you.
Wow.
So it wasn't like it was the first thing they did. So that, it's pretty special.
One of the things that I find really fascinating about it, though, is that all of these people bought into your mission. And I think that's pretty incredible. Because bringing people along with you on a journey makes it so much more meaningful. You also ran with a pair of clean trainers on your back.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit about these and the sort of reason that you were running with these.
So we didn't use this bag actually because it was obviously too uncomfortable. We actually had another bag that was a proper bag. But every step John and I took, we carried a pair of these shoes. With made in China, and they're actually quite heavy because these are rubber things. They were quite heavy, but
it'd be heavier if you were running with this.
Yeah, that would have been even heavier. So we carried the shoes with us, which represented people who are disabled. In a wheelchair, they have their shoes aren't used. So we had our dirty shoes, which represented us as runners every day going through the pain that we were going through to kind of understand. And the reason we made the run hard and didn't do like a marathon a day, we were doing 60, 70, sometimes 80K a day. The reason we did that was so that it would be hard for us, so that we could see how hard it was for people who are disabled, people who are in wheelchairs, and kind of just as a reminder every day for us. And then to carry this as a reminder and as a symbol that every step that we took across China represented someone who couldn't do what we were doing. And yeah, and there was times when, you know, it really helped where I was in pain and I was thinking, but I could feel pain in my legs. But lucky me, I couldn't feel pain in the legs.
Yeah.
I was tired. Lucky me,
I
I've
love
got
that
tired
frame.
legs, you know.
Yeah.
So lucky, you know, good. You can feel pain. Good. You're lucky. And so there will be something in the documentary where I suddenly go off on this rant when I'm running, which shocked the film guy because I'm always quite calm, but I start ranting just like this, and they caught it on film, so I'm quite hoping that comes out in the documentary when it comes out.
It's amazing how reframing something in your head can change the whole context you put on it. You know,
This
I think
poor
that's
cameraman,
a wonderful...
he said, "What's going through your head?" And when I started, he goes, "I wish I hadn't asked you." He said, and I started like going, and he goes, "Oh my God." He was like, "This is what goes on in your head when you're running." Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of time to think. Like there was only once did I use a podcast in my head. I had some really pain. It was the last day of any pain, but the pain was insane. It was the worst. It was at 1,020 kilometers or something like that. And I had 80 kilometers of pain, like pain, like where I thought I couldn't get through it. And after that day, gone, no more pain. It was like the body was going, let's just test you today. And if you pass today, we're not going to give you any more. And it was just literally like that. Next day I woke up, no swelling, everything had gone. And I was, the whole thing changed. But that one day I didn't know that if I could get through it. And I actually had to listen to Stephen Fry and Sherlock Holmes, him reading Sherlock Holmes.
Wow. And that was 1,000 something kilometers in.
1,080. It was 1,100 by the time it had got, and then it had gone.
Okay. So
I remember it quite clearly because we hit 1,000, and the pain started at 1,000. This pain that I got.
So you're probably just over 2 weeks into your run at this point, I'm guessing, or something like that on the math. But I saw this.
Yeah, that was
on your social media feed.
Yeah.
And this was day 4.
Yeah. What, day 2 it happened?
This was day 2.
No, that day 2 it happened.
Okay.
So then I had to run 3 days before.
You found a medical clinic.
Yeah.
So just for people who can't see, this is Joe on a hospital bed.
I'm being told I've got to stop running.
Getting an ultrasound?
Yeah.
Yeah. On day 4, but the pain started on day 2.
This was day 5.
This was day 5.
Day 2 it started, yeah.
And you with your feet up to your ankles in a bucket of water.
Yeah, that saved me. Actually, so the story behind it, I went into the hospital. The hospital told me, on no account can you run. You've got to call it a day. And so I called Stephen Kerwin, who is one of the therapists at Joint Dynamics. And he goes, I'm going to swear. He goes, get the fuck out the hospital. And then he told me what to do. And he said, you're going to be in pain for a long time, but it'll be okay.
Wow.
And so it was his advice that got me. And after that, so we got a film crew, and the film crew hadn't interviewed me before we started running. So they thought, okay, the first week it'll be okay. We'll interview him. I've just come out of hospital where they've told me I can't run, and I've got to pretend I haven't even started running. And so the film crew are going, yeah, so are you looking forward to it? I'm like, oh, fucking hell. Like I was so in my headspace. I was, oh, God. And so I had to pretend that I was happy and that I was looking forward to the run and I was excited to do it. But yeah.
You've got 55 days to go at this point.
I know and it wasn't to do with the running. My biggest thing was this responsibility. I got the responsibility of everyone there, and I'd only gone 4 or 5 days. I was like, how can this have happened? Like, I mean, Andrew, who's in the, Andrew's here, we talked about all this, and we all thought it would happen later on, but to happen so early where I was in such a bad state was like shocking. And then I was thinking, I've got all these, there's 20 people on this road, and it would continue without me, but it wasn't, obviously it's not going to be the same, is it? So there was quite a lot of headspace to get around there. That was a tough, very tough day, very tough afternoon, very tough evening. Woke up in the morning and just went, fuck it, just keep going.
Yeah. What did you learn about your mind and your body through this experience?
Well, I'm amazed at my body that it was so bad at that point, and then it just got better and better and better. And then, as I said, 1,100 kilometers, all pain disappeared, no swelling, didn't have any issues afterwards. Had some shoulder issues, but just because of old injuries when I was a jockey. But nothing, when my legs never ever came up, never had an issue from it. No swelling. I'd go to bed. I would go to bed, wake up in the morning. I'd look to check my feet. I mean, so here, so this is the thing that I use to roll, and it's electric one, and it vibrates, and hold on. And so in the morning, in the first 1,000 kilometers, I used to have to wake up at 5 a.m. to start at 7:30. I had to wake up so early because it took me 30 minutes to even be able to put this on my legs. I had to get my head because the pain was so
you did
bad.
30 minutes of...
No, 30 minutes sitting on the bed just to think about,
wow.
I've got to go through the pain to put it on. And then I'd hold it. The pain was insane, but I knew it was helping. And then I had these stretches that Andrew had set out for me, which I did every single day. But the pain that I went through to do them was, the stretching, but it would take so long. But then when the 1,000 kilometers are finished and I was okay, so I went from having to get up at 5 a.m. to suddenly 6:30, take me 30 minutes. I then meet the film crew. It's like the total change in once the pain went, it was a totally different situation. The first, but that it's hard to, it's because your brain blocks it off. So when I was doing this, I was being tested by Baptist University, which have a really amazing medical center and testing center for sports. And so they're doing this. So they sent me a questionnaire every day. I had to fill in a questionnaire. And so at the end, when...
Wait, do you ever think, I'm not doing this today?
Yeah, I
can't be bothered.
No. So I filled it in, but I told them that you've got to ignore the first 3 weeks. And he says, why? He said, because I lied on it. I literally lied of how I was feeling because I had to lie for my head.
For your own mental.
Yeah. So I told them I was fine, but I wasn't. And then of course the last 30 days I was totally truthful.
Yeah.
And so if I was feeling tired, I'd tell them, but I'd never had that pain or anything again. So it was kind of, I said, forget the first 3 weeks. It was all a lie. I lied totally on there. So that shows you these tests are no good anyway. Because a sportsman who's doing something like that, they're going to lie because they can't tell the truth. Because if you tell the truth, you're not going to, you're telling it to yourself.
I think there's so much there that resonates with me because I always think about the stories we tell ourselves. Well, it's it's the stories we tell ourselves, right? Mm. And if the story you tell yourself is one that I'm broken, I can't continue, and you're ticking a box on the form or writing that you can't continue, then
you're not going to continue.
It's going to seep in, right? And that's going to be your mindset, and that's going to take over. But the other thing that's fascinating to me is, this podcast is Entrepreneur Stories, and we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, and one of the things we're constantly talking about is mental toughness.
I'm mentally very strong.
You are obviously mentally very strong, but you have to be mentally strong and physically strong and overcome all of these physical challenges at the same time. Because mentally strong in business, I mean, yes, it can impact your health, but not in the same way as you were going through the physical pain that you were going through.
I don't think it's so different. I think any business owner goes through multiple things that affect them. And I think stress is, stress, sleep, all of these things are things that affect you when you're in business. I don't think there's much difference in it. I think if you look at an ultra runner and you look at a business owner, I think they're going through pretty much the same process.
Interesting.
They have pain. You know, you have lots of pain as a business owner. You've got to take all these small steps, so many days, and often the day's gone like crap all day. Nothing's achievable, but you've got through that day, and you wake up the next day and you start again, with a renewed vigor. And then maybe that day's, but you've got through it. Maybe you've just achieved one thing in that day, but you've achieved it and you've got through it. And then again, you start again. And often you've got this big picture, but often you don't know how you're going to get there. And you're just taking each day to get there. You're taking those steps. But as long as you're taking those steps forwards, you're going to get there. And suddenly you'll find yourself there. You'll go, oh, that was easy. But it wasn't easy. You just got there. Suddenly you've got there. And then you're on to the next thing.
Yeah. You don't connect the dots till you get to the end.
Yeah.
Until you look back.
And that's the other thing, is that one of my weaknesses and things that I know that I don't do enough of is look back and actually give myself a pat on the back for achieving, because I always am looking forward to the next thing, and I've got to start being grateful for what I've got and what I've achieved. And it's something I've learned from my wife, that she's really good at being grateful for what she achieves. And I look at her and learn a lot from that, because I'm not good at that.
Were there points you thought you were not going to finish? Was there any point where you thought you were not going to finish?
The little bit of the hotel.
While you're lying there in the doctor's bed?
When Stephen told me to get the fuck out of there, I was okay. In his nice way.
Joe, while you're running, how were you greeted by the people? Because you must have met so many people.
Everywhere we went, everybody was super lovely. It was such lovely, it was such an amazing thing. It's amazing, from what I understand, that every country, every person I know who's done anything that's revolved around going through countries, they've had a wonderful time. People have been super, super lovely, super, just super excited to see you. And we had the same. We were, and our film crew they got more of it than we did, because they got to spend time with these communities, and they were welcomed like you can't believe, like really welcomed. And I can't wait to see the footage from it, because it's just going to be insane. And they didn't speak Chinese. They just used the apps, and they, everyone's showing off, these old men showing off and doing things, the old ladies, and it was just great.
Loving being on camera.
Love being on camera. And there was never any feeling of, oh, I can't say this or they can't say that. Everybody was very relaxed, and it was I didn't expect it to be like that.
And people joined you on the way?
Yeah. So sometimes we just run along. One day we were running along and a car just stopped. Guy jumped out and started running with us. The car turned around and it came, and between the two of them, they ran 30K with us. It was nuts. We had this all the time. Sometimes we'd come down in the morning and the place was packed. Like, there was just full of people coming.
So it was Chinese social media that was following you, basically.
Yeah.
People following Chinese social media.
Yeah, and they'd just come and join. And then we would run through villages sometimes, and people would start shouting, "Run, China, run!" And it was like nuts.
It's amazing.
Like, random person, "Run, China, run!" Or it was amazing, really.
There's got to have been a point though where you were like, "Just leave me the fuck alone." When you're running, I mean, and all these people are joining.
So there was some early on, it was tough, but once
you got used to it.
Once the pain went, it was different.
It was okay, yeah.
So the interesting thing is, everyone said so I had the pain. There was the time at the hotel, and there was another time, the first 2 days after the pain went, where my mind started going all over the shop.
Yeah.
And I started thinking. So every bus that came past, I go, oh, I could go on that bus. No one would know. And there'd be like, and then there was like the bicycles you can get electric, but, oh, I could ride one of those bicycles. No one would know. Like, my mind, it took 2 days to get it to come back in.
Yeah.
Because suddenly it had been dealing with pain for so long. it then didn't have pain, and then
Yeah.
it was kind of it was going off all over all over the shop.
It's incredible. So you've run for 60 days, and
Yeah.
you're in Hong Kong, and you're crossing the line, so to speak. Your goals achieved. How do you feel at this point? Is it you feeling accomplished? You're feeling like you've
I had to run home. Which literally, I didn't have a car to get into. I had to go home, and I live with.
So you'd arranged this car all the way to the finish line, but not the last.
So we had to get. So we're in Kai Tak, which was amazing. So many
at the
people
new
came
stadium,
out.
right?
The new stadium.
Yeah.
So Kai Tak very kindly said that we could use the new stadium to finish in, which was incredible. And there was a massive crowd. It came, and so many people joined us for the last day. And they joined us, and we hiked the last day. So everybody could be with us and stuff. And that was incredible. That was amazing. We got all these pink T-shirts, which was fully pink T-shirts that everybody was wearing, which was really cool. So we got some really cool pictures like that. And then, and it was good. We had some Hong Kong dignitaries that came. The Secretary of Security and the Secretary of Education came, which was really cool to see them. Yeah, and it was great. And then we went home. I think we went for Thai food. I literally had it up to here with Chinese food. I can tell you, I couldn't eat any more Chinese food. Just really had enough. Yeah. I needed something that was different.
How were you feeling, Joe, when you finished this race?
It was so nice. I got my parents were there. My brother had come over. My brother, who's next day younger to me. My son had come with me on the run, and then his girlfriend was there as well, which is really cool. My wife was there. But also I'd got some old friends from when I was racing. So there's a couple called Kaz and Mark who I introduced together. And her dad was my boxing trainer when I used to be boxer. And then their daughter, who's a champion jockey, and she was there at the finish as well. So that was pretty special for me as well to have people from my past who'd come, all the way from the UK to see that. And yeah, felt pretty special. And it was great, to achieve something like that. And then, and then the next day I had to go and do a test at the university, which was the hardest thing. Oh my God, that was so hard. On the treadmill, that was really tough.
They wanted you on the treadmill.
That was so hard. After that, really tough.
You must be really proud of yourself. And I got to say, listening to your story, I haven't known you for that long, but I'm fucking proud of you.
No, thank you. That's very kind.
It's insane what you've achieved. I'm gonna go to audience Q&A and then just come back for my last one or two questions. So for you guys who've been listening, we've got a mic going around. Does anyone have a question for Joe that they want to ask?
It's a very stock question, but what would you say is your biggest takeaway? Your biggest takeaway after doing that run?
Limits are just borrowed. So you have what I mean by that is that if you surround yourself, the people who you, so I'll give you an example. So every day these kids improved. They got better and better, not just with their running, but with their communication, with their schoolwork, with everything. And what we saw was one started getting better, and then the other started getting better, and then the other started getting better. So, we're all classified by our labels, by the people we surround ourselves with. And what it showed is that your limit is just relates to who you surround and how what you achieve as you go along. And so you can achieve so much more by just being around the people that keep achieving as well. And so for me, the reason I say limits are just borrowed, because they are every time you can improve each one is you're moving on to the next stage. And so for me, that, and then friendships, friendship, you build the friendships that came out of it, I think is pretty special as well.
Amazing. I think we've got one in the back row.
Hi, Joe. Just wondering, firstly, on average, how many hours per day were you running? And also, what were you listening to that whole entire time?
I listened to nothing except that one day. I listened to my own thoughts, which was pretty fucked up at times. And I can't even repeat what I went through my head a lot of the time. And then some days, someone asked me, we had an 11-hour day. They said, what have you thought about? And I went, nothing. And then he said, but you've ran with John. What have you talked about? Nothing. Like two men just running together. And I said to John, I think it took me 30 days before I knew his wife's name. But no, that I knew his wife's name before. But it was that kind of thing where you got two men together who we weren't gossiping, we weren't talking a lot. We were just living in each other's. We were living with each other as we went along. I had one day where I had to listen to Stephen Fry and Sherlock Holmes, which was the day that I was in really bad pain. But apart from that, didn't ever put anything on. Just 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2 in your head. There was lots of stuff going on in the head, which is when the documentary comes out, there might be some of that in there. A lot of the time, nothing. Sometimes you're just planning, sometimes reminiscing, sometimes thinking, what will I say to so-and-so? Just lots of things. Most of the time, nothing, to be honest. It's quite nice.
This version of you that we know of today,
that
escaped the debauchery, the hedonism, does it survive in the quiet moments? Or is it something that's only sustained by extreme punishment and pain?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know, to be honest. I'm new to who I am at the moment. So I'm finding it very hard at the moment. I've had some really, really difficult times in the last few weeks, 3 weeks, where I've losing motivation. I've had cravings like I can't even believe. I thought my alcohol cravings were bad, but my cravings for sweets was unbelievable. Like, it's awful. I was like a crackhead looking for sweets around the house. My wife will tell you, I'd be opening the cupboards looking. I remember I had a bit of chocolate and I put it down here and I'd be like looking for it. That was pretty tough. But I understand what you're talking about, the pain and going through what I go through. It is a replacement for the extreme of me drinking and partying. And at the moment, I'm only 4 years, I'm 3.5 years sober. And I'm fundamentally only 3.5, 4 years into running. So I think it's quite new still. So I don't really know how I'm going to manage and replace that kind of extreme stuff that has been helping me. But what I do in life, I live my life in a very simple way. There's 3 processes that I do, and I've told Vincent, who's here in the audience, I told Andrew this as well. I do one thing every year that defines my year, something that's really big and powerful for that year. So that becomes my focus and my purpose. I then make sure I have 6 mini adventures a year. And Novi and we're going to Japan next month, but we do something that is a mini adventure. So we got stories to tell. So if you do 6 mini adventures every year, that's in 10 years, you've done 60 adventures. You've had 60 adventures. You've got 60 stories to tell. And so if you live life full of stories, you're going to have a rich life, and it's something you can look back on. And then I learn something new every year. So I always look at what I can learn and what I can be better at. So whether that's remembering names, learning. I was going to say a language, but that never happens. Not being late for a meeting or something like along those lines. So you change your lifestyle slightly, and that is how I've lived my life. I did that when I wasn't. It wasn't the only. I did things when I was drunk as well. So there was kind of a structure to it, and I've kept doing that. But I'm taking it to more extremes. And I promise you, everyone, if you live your life following those 3 simple rules, you will have unbelievable life. You'll look back on it and think, I haven't wasted anything in my life doing this. And if you've got kids and you do it with your kids, even better. It's really, really. And then you and your kids will look back and go, oh, we did this. And I didn't do that. I've been a terrible father, and so I'm trying to be better as an adult, with my kids as adults. But follow these rules and follow this lifestyle, and you'll have a very enriched life.
Just a story about one of the kids. 9 kids, 60 days. One story you could share about the kids?
So, yeah, I've got to be a little bit careful with what we share with the kids, because they are 16. But I'll tell you one story. So there's one particular kid, his name Henry, and he was the guy that actually had to come in and do the translation when I was in hospital. Gave him a bit of a hard time because I wasn't hearing the answers I wanted to hear. But this was early on. So he wasn't the greatest runner. You could hear him from a mile away. Every time he put his foot on the ground, he was like this, and he really struggled early on. But on the last week, we said to all the kids, to all the students, you can run as far as you like today. So over the week, we split them up, and on one of those days during that week, each student had the chance to run as far as he liked. And this guy who could hardly run when we first had him ran 55K that day.
55K?
55K. And it was hard. So at one point we thought he'd stopped and we would continue running. And then we looked behind and he came back again. Now that, he'd given up, but then he came back again. And so it was just amazing to see this. And then when we got to the end, he comes, so we're finished, and he goes, and he'd had, his parents were at the finishing line, and he goes, Jojo, come and meet my parents. And he was so, proud to meet, and then I met his parents, and there was so much going on. I didn't get to talk to them, but anything. Anyway, we interviewed him just recently, and he said that, I said, okay, and what about your parents? How do you feel about it? How did they feel about it? He said, my dad had told all of his friends and said, I can't believe how my son is doing all of this and all of this. So when we talk about this ripple effect, like he is typical Chinese family, very strict father. There was some issues there. And this ripple effect of happening, his dad was super proud of him. He said, I love my parents. And I was just like, it's just amazing to see that his dad was proud. He was telling all of his friends, he said, I can't believe my son has done what he's done. His son is 16 years old, very strict Chinese family. And suddenly his dad's telling all of his friends how amazing his son is. And of course, that changes everything.
Yeah.
Changes dynamics.
Yeah.
Changes things where...
Changes his life.
Well, changes
Honestly.
and his dad's life.
Yeah.
The relationship between them, amazing. And then you see this guy, he's in front of a camera being interviewed. Well, he couldn't even look at a camera when we started. I've got a picture with him with his mum, and he just wouldn't even look at the camera. Whereas now he's talking and saying, oh, this is what I'm doing. Now I'm really bad at maths, but I know that if I keep just going and keep going, I'm going to get better. And now I'm enjoying it because he sees that turning up every day and taking that one small step will get you closer to where you want to go. And so, but the important thing is to turn up.
I think
you just see a whole different person. Amazing. And that's just one. So you've got 9 of them like that.
It's a great question. I think it's a brilliant answer to kind of bring this towards a close. What's next for you, mate?
Yeah. So I've got a couple of things I'm going to go. I'm going to try and I want to run a marathon under 3 hours.
Okay.
I want to do that this year, and that's something. So get my spring back and get that going. I've just made that decision today. So
Wow. So
yes,
that's hot off the press.
it wasn't there yesterday. So
Okay.
that's why I made the decision today. And also,
Did you know about this, Novi? Yeah, you did. Okay.
yeah, and then also, and also when we go to the UK in September, I'm going to run every single race course in September. In every single race course in the UK. Sorry.
Race course meaning horse racing track.
Yeah, or
Wow.
there's 59 in the UK. So
Oh,
I'm
wow.
going to run every single one of them and try to do it. I want to do it in kind of one go, not run to them. I'll go in a car in between. So it's not a hard thing to do. And we'll do that for, there's a jockey who I used to ride with who just recently broke his neck, and he's in a, he's totally like from the neck downwards. He's in a really bad way. And I think it costs around £100,000 a year just for him to stay alive.
So you're going to do that to raise money? So
partially to raise money for him, and then also there's a charity that for kids with racing and horse racing. So I'm going to work with that, and then there's also kind of all linked in together. There's a charity that helps women and men get back into racing if they've had kids or any problems or anything, so they can get back into racing. So so there's going to be kind of a link in it all together, and we're looking at, it's going to be called something along the lines of Stories from the Turf. So what I want to do is have lots of different people come and join me with their stories. So each race course will have a different story and different personality.
Incredible.
Because I've got a lot of my own stories, but it would be great to have other people join, jockeys, trainers, stable people who work within the horses, punters, owners, kind of come in and just do this kind of story of all the race courses as we go around. But I want to do it in kind of, people have done it, but over long periods of time, but no one's done it in one go.
So it's kind of like the Four Trails.
It'll be like the Four Trails.
It's just driving between them.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But it's just driving. There's a long way between the race courses, but it'll be fun, I think. Yeah. So that's the next thing.
How many race courses?
59.
59. Okay. Last question. Tell us about the shirt you're wearing, because we never really covered.
Yeah. So this is the shirt I ran in. Literally, it is the shirt I ran in.
And the charity?
And so the charity Action Asia Foundation, which is the charity that we I'm a director of, and we that was behind the run. The charity helps young kids in sport, which is what we did with the students, and then also it helps people who are disabled in Hong Kong. And so we've helped the kids, and now we're looking at the next phase is to kind of raise money and to help people in disability. Part of what we want to do is get people out to more of the countryside and to the parks, and actually Hong Kong's really disabled friendly in this respect, and it's just a lot of people don't know about it, so we're looking to trying to get more of that out.
Amazing. I got to say, I think it's without a doubt the most inspiring story we've had on here. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for being so transparent. I think the impact that you're having comes through in everything you said. There's notes here that I'm not going to read, but you handed these to me when you got here. And just so people know, these are notes from kids in the school, in Tayo school.
Yeah.
Just basically to Joe, talking about how he's basically inspired them to do amazing things. And, they're quite long, some of them, but just amazing little stories about what the runs meant to them and to their lives.
We leave it here.
Yeah. So, and thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you.
All of you guys who are here have supported Action Asia this evening,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
amazing. So we've raised a little
Yeah,
money
thank
for
you
Action
for that.
Asia.
I really appreciate that.
No, all
And
good.
it's getting, because it's, although the charity is an old charity, it's been going 19 years. It kind of COVID, it stopped through COVID, and then I got involved and have reignited it. And yeah, we're going to do an event on the 3rd of May, which I'd really appreciate if you support. And Andrew, you have to come because you've got to come. There's no question. And Stephen, both of you have got to come. So yeah, and we're looking at raising some money for, and we'll do a little bit of a program after. So we're going to show a behind the scenes film. It's not the documentary, but it's a behind the scenes documentary. So you'll see quite a lot. It'll be quite cool.
Amazing.
Quite cool, yeah.
And just a huge thanks to Novi for bringing some delicious food, which I'm looking forward to trying now.
Me too.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.